Long ago and far away, in enchanted lands across the seas, lived kings and queens, princes and princesses, good fairies and wicked witches, ferocious giants and gentle dwarfs. Their adventures and stories have been told for hundreds of years. Open the pages and listen to the words, and you too can join the magical world of Once Upon a Time.
The most incredible thing. Once upon a time, the King and Queen of Slavonia decided their daughter, the princess, should marry. The man who could do the most incredible thing would win the hand of the princess and also half the kingdom. A panel of judges was appointed by the king, and a day given for them to decide who had done the most incredible thing. On that day, men from all over the kingdom arrived to try and do the most incredible thing. One tried acrobatics, another drank 150 goblets of beer, and another tried to eat 50 chickens. But the king was so bored by all of them that they nearly sent him to sleep. He was almost dozing off when a man appeared with an amazing clock.
What a fine clock. Oh, it's amazing.
Every time it struck an hour, out came people who sang and spoke. "This clock must be the most incredible thing," declared the king. When the clock struck 1 o'clock, an old man dressed in flowing robes appeared. He was holding a large tablet of stone and carving words on it using a very sharp chisel. He was carving the most incredible messages on the tablet, and the crowd were amazed at what he'd written. All the messages told them how they should behave in their everyday lives. As the clock struck 2, Adam and Eve were seen standing in the Garden of Eden. They were happily picking flowers and playing amongst the bushes and trees of the garden without wearing a stitch of clothing. They didn't need any. "This truly is the most incredible thing we've ever seen," the people cried out in delight. As the clock struck 3, 3 kings, dressed in long robes and wearing golden crowns, appeared to the crowd. They were each carrying special gifts.
"My gift is a box of gold,"
said the first king. "I bring a box of frankincense that could be burnt to make a sweet-smelling perfume," said the second.
"My gift is a box
"Of myrrh," said the third king. At 4 o'clock, the 4 seasons stepped out of the clock. Spring carried a cuckoo sitting on a twig and singing heartily. Summer held a ripe ear of corn with a grasshopper perched on top. Autumn wore an empty nest on her head from which the bird had flown, and winter was carrying an old crow who told stories of old on cold evenings in front of the fire. As the clock struck 5, out came the 5 senses. Sight was an optician busy making glasses.
Ladies' glasses.
Hearing was a coppersmith beating his pans into shape. Smell was a pretty girl selling sweet-scented flowers, violets and sweet woodruff. Taste was a cook stirring a big pot of soup. And feeling was a serious man who never smiled. He kept his head and body well hidden under a big black cape. At 6 o'clock, 2 gamblers appeared. They were sitting at a table in front of the royal family, the judges, and the crowd of people. They were playing a game with dice, where the one who threw the highest number was the winner. Both men were looking extremely pleased with themselves, as both the dice were lying with the number 6 on the top. Next, on the stroke of 7 o'clock, 7 more characters stepped forward. "We are the 7 days of the week," they declared. Saturday was a jolly old fellow with a huge bag of money. Sunday had a very cheerful face that looked like sunshine. Monday was a very stern man dressed in heavy armour. But the crowd couldn't work out who the other days were because they didn't speak. At 8 o'clock, 8 monks appeared, each one dressed in the special brown robes that monks wear.
The 8 incredible monks are we. Let us fill your hearts with glee,
they said. Then they sang 8 beautiful songs, and the crowds who were watching this magnificent display clapped and cheered. At 9 o'clock, the 9 muses, who were all sisters and all goddesses in ancient Greek times, appeared from the clock. One goddess knew a lot about the moon and the stars. Another was especially clever at making potions to cure the sick. The rest of the sisters were involved in the theatre, acting or playing instruments or reading out well-known poems. "10 o'clock struck, and the crowd saw the old man appear again with his stone tablet. This time, they realized the old man in the flowing robes was Moses, and the words he'd written on the stone tablet were the 10 Commandments. The crowd were very impressed with the beautiful writing and the clever words on the tablet. At the stroke of 11, girls and boys came skipping out of the clock. They all kept counting up to 11. On the count of 11, each boy joined hands with a girl, and they all did a little dance.
What incredible fun this is!
Shouted the boys and girls, and the crowd clapped and cheered as they watched them. Some of the crowd was so thrilled when they saw the boys and girls dancing that they joined in. At last, the clock struck 12. The night watchman stepped forward. He looked a frightening figure as he stood in his tall hat with his big, spiky club at his side. He took a deep breath and then started to sing to the watching crowds. As he sang his song, roses sprang up, and the roses soon turned to angels' heads. The crowd was so impressed with the clock that they declared that it was truly incredible.
It's time to turn over to side 2.